Nominee tells you to watch a sex tape, especially at the same time the sitting president is eulogizing Shimon Peres. Fair enough. But that really is what happened today. While President Obama and former President Clinton were in Jerusalem attending the funeral of legendary Israeli statesman Shimon Peres, President Obama is giving this incredibly moving eulogy for the late Israeli prime minister. At that moment, on the other side of the world, Donald Trump, Republican presidential nominee, was in the middle of a Twitter outburst, which included, again, unprompted, him continuing to attack a former winner of his Miss Universe pageant who is now a Hillary Clinton supporter. In Mr. Trump's tweet early this morning in the pre-dawn hours, he called the former Miss Universe disgusting and directed the American public that we should, quote, check out the sex tape. It's Friday night now. There are still 6 weeks to go until the election. Anything can happen in those 6 weeks. It is hard to believe, though, that this week we have just been through won't end up feeling like it was a turning point in this election. I mean, at the start of the week, Monday night, that debate did go very poorly for Donald Trump. The American public perceives him to have lost that debate by a very sound margin. Even in a country that's roughly evenly divided as to who we want to vote for the presidency, the country boldly perceives Donald Trump to have lost that debate by anywhere from a 20-point to a 40-point margin. He did just get beaten badly, and obviously he behaved in a way that I think people didn't expect even from him. Since then, since the night of that debate on Monday night, since that evening, Mr. Trump and his campaign surrogates have decided that they're going to start a new political tack. They're going to try to create a political liability for Hillary Clinton out of the fact that her husband is known to have cheated on her. That new point of political focus from the Trump campaign started as soon as the debate was over. It has been led by Mr. Trump himself, as well as two of his most recognizable surrogates, former New York City Mayor Rudolph Giuliani and former House Speaker Newt Gingrich. And I don't have any individual interest in any of these men's personal history. But if you were going to make a deliberate decision as to who should try to make a presidential political issue out of men cheating on their wives, who would design a political strategy where the spokesmen for that attack are Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, and Newt Gingrich? Between them, they have 9 wives. That's wives with a W, not lives like a cat. 9 wives between the 3 of them, and they're all famous, each of them, for having cheated on their wives and getting caught for it. But it has been 3 days now, 4 days now, where they have been trying on that line of political attack. On the issue of the former Miss Universe, who Donald Trump was calling disgusting in the pre-dawn hours this morning, he and his campaign have continued to press personal attacks against her all week long, with Mr. Trump himself and Mr. Gingrich in particular taking the lead on attacking the former Miss Universe, specifically for her weight. Again, I've had no issue in the weight of Donald Trump or Newt Gingrich, but again, just design a political strategy in which Donald Trump and Newt Gingrich are the spokesmen for political attacks that are based on body mass index. Glass houses do not begin to cover. This is like glass outhouses, which I'm sorry to say extends even to Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump telling the country this morning that what we should look up about the former Miss Universe if we want to learn more about why Donald Trump thinks she is disgusting and why he's taking time to spend 5 days attacking her in the middle of his presidential campaign. Unfortunately, the glass houses concept here extends even to the specific issue he raised today of a sex tape. I have a lot of respect for Andrew Kaczynski and his colleagues at BuzzFeed News. I think they do great work. They are masters of hidden archives. They turn up all sorts of stuff that nobody else finds. That said, I do not envy their workplace today. I do not envy the task they had today of scrolling through this video. Playboy Video Centerfold, Playmate 2000, starring twins. Thanks to the hardworking, undercompensated staff at BuzzFeed News, we can tell you a little bit about this film. I'm just going to quote BuzzFeed here. I should also tell you, if you're watching with your kids or you are just not into hearing this, you may just want to go, la, 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 and cover your ears for a second. It's not going to take a long time. It's only going to take a second, but I'm just going to read BuzzFeed's description here because you know what? They did the reporting to figure this out, and I think they should be honored for it. So let me just do this. Quote, scenes from the film feature fully nude women posing in sexual positions, dancing naked, touching themselves while naked, touching each other sensually, rubbing honey on themselves, taking a bath, and dressing in costumes. Well, I mean, the costumes part might be family friendly. I don't know, it might just be kind of a Halloween themed thing. But the reason we have to know that description of what's in the Playboy video Playmate 2000, the reason we have to know this now is if you are a presidential candidate who's going to stay up all night to attack your female political opponents and call them disgusting and say they have been in sex tapes, then news organizations are going to turn up ratty old VHS copies of the softcore porn videos in which you, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump, apparently had a cameo role. Again, according to BuzzFeed, quote, on a bus tour hunt for the 2000 Playmate of the Year around the country, the Playmates traveled to different cities, including New York, Vegas, Chicago, Nashville, and San Diego. Donald Trump welcomes the Playmates in New York and pops a bottle of champagne to kick off the New York stop. Trump then pours the champagne over the Playboy bunny logo. Here's the clip of that cameo appearance, followed by the champagne pour, and then presumably thereafter is when the Playboy bunnies start, you know, pouring the honey on other things. And in a normal year, can I even say that anymore? Can you even say, like, in a normal year? Who knows what counts as normal after 2016? In what used to pass for a normal year, I don't know if America would care that the Republican presidential nominee is somebody who had a cameo in a softcore porn video. But when that nominee is telling the American public 38 days before the election that what we should do is seek out alleged and apparently apocryphal sex tapes showing how disgusting these women are who are against him, then it does become the political press corps' job to go troll through the bargain bins at adult video stores to see what else Donald Trump might have been in. Because he apparently wasn't in that one. So things are not going great for the Trump campaign. Donald Trump still has a grand total of 0 daily newspaper endorsements for the general election. We believe that is a modern American record for a major party presidential nominee. USA Today did make this remarkable decision to anti-endorse him yesterday, the first time they've ever taken sides in a presidential race. 2 more papers today broke with long-standing tradition to overtly not endorse the Republican nominee for the first time in a dog's age. The San Diego Union Tribune, for one, they've been a paper for 148 years. They have not endorsed a Democrat for president in their 148-year history, but today they endorsed Hillary Clinton. Tonight, the Washington Post took the wholesale, unanimous unendorsement of Donald Trump that they've already made a step further. The Washington Post has already made clear that they're against Donald Trump in this election, but as of tonight, they say they are kicking off what will be a series of editorials. Just an extraordinary editorial volley from one of the top national papers in the country. The first one, which is out tonight, is called "The Clear and Present Danger of Donald Trump." They say it is the first in a series of editorials they will lay out over the course of the next week, explaining why Americans essentially have a responsibility to vote against Trump. They're contending that there's no chance that he would be harmless as president, that he would not be constrained by the other elements of our political system, contrary to some popular belief. They say in this first editorial that he could, quote, unilaterally, meaning on his own, unilaterally change this country to its core. So, this has been a bad week for Donald Trump. Today he started raising the prospect that he may not participate in the second presidential debate. I don't know if that'll happen yet or not. But after this very, very bad week for Donald Trump, looking ahead, especially toward that Washington Post context for next week, my guess is that next week might even be worse. Unless somebody sort of gets a hold of him, right? Stops him from tweeting about sex tapes at 3 in the morning. I don't know. Donald Trump's on his 3rd campaign manager in the campaign thus far. There are unconfirmed reports to NBC News this week, single source reports, that Trump may right now be looking for a 4th campaign manager at this juncture. But at a certain point, I think it has to sink in that it's not necessarily the campaign, right? It's the guy. I have no idea what's going to happen here next.